then it's over to Professor Menon to sum up. And he also has always been a problem solver. Whenever there's a leak of question paper, I've always felt that it's Dr. Menon's process which should have been followed. He ran the All India Institute of uh, Medical Sciences entrance examination for the Supreme Court, and not once did we have any problem. So Dr. Menon is the real problem solver, and he'll summarize for us before we hand over to Dr. Aparna to take it beyond the boundary. Dr. Menon, please.
Thank you, Ashok. Am I audible?
Yes.
Thank you for this great opportunity to listen to my younger and not so younger colleagues speaking about their travel through the new competence-based or problem-based learning strategy. I learned a lot. I think as we go out of medical education, we see that changes are happening. But the question is, are the changes happening for the welfare of the students and also for the medical teachers fraternity? And how are they accepting it? I think we started with the preamble from Dr. Sneha Bhargav, who politely said that the prime thrust of medical education should be to improve what we call as uh, improving the primary health care for promotive and preventive services. Well, this has been being shouted at various fora, but it is sad that if we have not reached that, we have to also look at what are the ambitions of the students entering the medical colleges. Are they tuned for these type of services, or are their aims to get into higher echelons of specialists highly trained in various fields? So there is sometimes a conflict, and I don't think that probably NHS is the ultimate model for India to follow. There is probably the principle that there should be a place where common man with common problems can reach out to. In an era of specialists, probably we are probably missing this category of physicians altogether. So how to integrate medicine, learning as well as teaching to provide complex but as well as contextual management to common medical problems by young entering medical graduates is an issue which I think we'll have to continue to discuss. We heard a lot actually because I think your choice of most of the speakers had been from the field of medical microbiology. So there is actually an interesting turn for a completely clinician dealing with common infectious diseases and other fields. So we hear a lot about, for example, Aparna came out with the essential question about how competency-based learning can help. We have been shouting at the top of the voice about competency-based learning. But finally, if you are thinking that competency-based learning is the model to follow, are our final summative assessments for essentially selecting a postgraduate career based on that program or entirely different? We heard from some of the speakers that the current entrance examination for postgraduates, the NEET model, is not at all competency or problem based. It is based on rote learning. So if our whole teaching of 5 years or 6 years is competency based and the final progress to the next level of learning is based on rote, are we achieving the aims? We have to think seriously about it. There are a lot of things that were spoke about by Dr. Snail, Dr. Saxena, about how to improve competency-based learning. I think integration, both vertical as well as horizontal, is a must. And I think we have to encourage all young faculty entering into medical education, take a proper training in either short term or long term in the field of medical education in the competency based. I find that while writing for a textbook on for undergraduates in pediatrics, over 300 faculty from various institutions all over India, we were shocked to see that many of the teachers were not even aware about the various competencies that are needed in the field of pediatrics for undergraduates. So it is important not only for students. I think competencies should be specified not only for the students, but also for the faculty involved in teaching or possessing or helping with the process of learning. That is very important. It was very interesting to listen to the varied experience from Dr. Dev Panigrafi on problem-based learning. Sometimes I wonder whether problem-based learning has died its own death. Because I think the problem is actually if you are continuing to not to evolve the problems as we move on from diseases based on what we happen is around the world, it is difficult. India is a huge country. The problems, medical problems faced by undergraduates in north or west or south or east are not uniform. Many diseases are not prevalent in the south or the east. Many people studying in north don't even see common cases which are very prevalent. I was surprised. For example, our undergraduates in AIMS had sometimes not seen a single case of Japanese encephalitis, which was a epidemic going over the northeastern region. So these things happen. How do we ensure? So sometimes paper-based exercises are necessary and appropriate interventions have to be taken by curriculum makers. I was really enjoying the talk by Vishuri, which came from actually about private medical institution. I have to say that the situation in government-owned or university-owned medical colleges in India are not different from private institutions. They also have shortage of faculty. Sometimes I have seen that when we go for examination, department held by one permanent faculty member, assisted by imported faculty from different. Many government and university medical colleges are still short of faculty. Procedures for selecting faculty, training them in the field of medication takes its own time. So there are several solutions which he has said, which I think, which is very important. I think I really enjoyed that we have to define curriculum, which is very specific for UGs and PGs. And we have to see that inadequacy of teachers has to be there. And also about the final evaluation, whether it is for course assessment or for summary. I enjoyed the talk by Deepak, who was always interested in, I think, the transition between borders in the field of medical education and related sciences. Nice to see his suggestions for improving competency-based uh, education and approve changing the way we deal with equipments and other details in the conventional management of common clinical problems. And I think, Deepak, I am sure you will come out with a lot of solutions how to improve our own situation of our own homebred innovations coming to help the undergraduates as well as the postgraduate students. And holistic approaches are essential for such an. My eyes were widely open listening to my colleague from Muscat, Dr. Meher Rizvi. I think people from India, faculty, when they move out of India to different institutions, suddenly are faced with the challenge of an entirely new curriculum, modules of teaching. It was very interesting to see the structured teaching programs that are going on in Muscat. And I think thought that the most important thing that I learned from your talk was that the national framework for education in medical curriculum and also in-course assessments and as an attempt to integrate vertically and horizontally to continue the maintained interest. But I agree with you that it is very difficult to maintain continuity of education, even in the field of common subjects like clinical microbiology or clinical pharmacology in a continuous pattern. So I think maintaining interest in the curriculum to see that they are developed appropriately is a task. And I think most medical teachers are not trained in this. And again, I think she pointed out that probably the young faculty entering into medical education in various disciplines need an appropriate training modality in these facilities. And also, I liked her comment that the younger faculty who is holding the tutorials also are sometimes very facilitative teachers than the experienced senior teachers. Thank you, Meher, for highlighting these issues in the talk. Godfred Menzies showed about what is happening in the rest of the world. And I think he highlighted for me some of the lacunae in the so-called competency based. I think since we are going with the National Medical Council on a very strong basis on a implementing in competency based education in the country, there is also importance, just not competency based education. The education has to involve a chance for the student to develop his own faculty, his own interest in the subject. And I thought that your statement about improving new knowledge, rapid advances, what you can do, how to improve your own knowledge, all these things are important in making a good understanding and a clinically appropriate medical graduate in the long run. Probably your experience in the various universities made you win very short. Tell us about that. I think Dr. Hafiz Ahmad actually said about something which is little different from all of us that we have been saying. With competency based or competitive examinations all around us in medical, medicine, engineering, whatnot, and also for postgraduates and in aims even for a PhD, it is only a progressive level of students who can get into these courses. Lateral entry is unheard of in most Indian medical colleges. It is impossible for a nursing student or a pharmacy student to enter directly into a medical education, even if she or he wants, unless he clears the NEET. She has to still go back to the basic courses which are to be taught. I think we have to develop actually a system of encouraging lateral entry. I'm not saying they should be given reservation. I am saying there should be a mechanism to evolve that interested candidate, irrespective of their age or basic training, should find an interest in medical education. Many of my students, actually, contemporaries who were not interested in medicine, has taken up medical education, but none from India. They had to move out to a different country to take up a specialty in medicine and go ahead with making good, understanding, sympathetic doctors. So lastly, I think he said a word about being a good medical professional and not being a good businessman. I think when I read the newspapers every day, I am saddened that we are telling our young medical graduates, it is better to take care of yourself. You have to give back the loan that you have taken for your studies. You have to save yourself from all sorts of humiliating and other experiences, but there are no training for any of these. So it is an evolving field. I don't think I have answers for everything. Being a good examiner, you can probably say you are a good student, but it doesn't tell you that you will become a good, sincere, reserved, as well as understanding clinician. I think we will have to keep revising. And I think one suggestion for me to the team even though I would like to put up some questions to some of the faculty, is that we should probably look into a spectrum of different specialists, both top-notch specialists like in the field of neurosurgery, to very basic behavioral scientists who trained actually. Because in Dundee, when we were trained, there was a 1 year, first year course in behavioral psychology to all medical entrants in the Ninewell School. Is it necessary to tune the medical graduate to the problem? Because it's a definitely a quantum difference from the +2 or plus medical college entry is entirely a different, not only for the language, but also the way they are taught as well as they are assessed. So I think we have to also look at pre-entry as well as post-entry in the evidence of medical education. Thank you, Anusho. It has been an interesting day. Listening to all these enlightened speakers, I have become wiser. Thank you. Thank
Thank,
everybody for their personal thought. Thank you.
thank you very much, Professor Menon.